Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Merity. I am an early childhood education, elementary education, dual major, still going to college to become an elementary school teacher. And this channel is all about trying to give helpful advice and share my experience as an education major so that others who are going to become education majors or thinking about it can have a better idea of what to expect. So the video today is going to be all about level 1. The way that I talked about it in like the overview of my education program that I put on my channel in a previous video. The way that my education system breaks it up is into levels. So there's 4 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and then if you're a dual major like I am, there's a semester between level 1 and level 2 just to get some more prerequisites and other education classes out of the way, and then you just continue on. Today I'm going to be talking about level 1 more in depth. In the overview I briefly went over each level, but this video is going to be solely about level 1. I'm going to go over the classes that I took and what we did in each class. And I do understand that like every university, every program is going to be different and have its own unique things, but like overall, you know, everybody who's going into education should get a fairly similar education, because we're all going to be teachers, we're all going to be teaching the same curriculum, we're all going to be having the same goals for our students to be successful, and so hopefully this will help somebody. My university is in Utah. I don't know how it's going to differ from other universities, but anyways, I'm just going to share and hopefully it's helpful. So I have my notes here, so if you see me like looking down, that's why. The first class that I took for level 1 was media integration in elementary education. This class was all about how to just integrate technology and media into your lessons. So we learned, you know, we had like good refreshers on how to use Google Docs and Google Slides and Google Sheets and Word documents and PowerPoints and spreadsheets, and how to use those for the purpose of like grading and creating lesson plans and creating assignments that we would potentially give to our students. We also learned how to use a format called Scratch, where you can like create little cartoon clips and have them interact with each other. And we learned how to embed pictures and videos and links into our Canvas assignments and just into other types of documents. So the whole point was to just really strengthen the skills we already had and introduce us to some new technologies. It's been long enough that I don't remember exactly which ones, like which programs I was introduced to in that class, because since then I have had another media integration class where we reviewed a lot of them and were introduced to new ones, and so they're kind of all blending together for me. But I do remember that Scratch was a really great resource and one that we specifically had assignments for in the media integration class in level 1. The second class that I took was called Reading Instruction in Primary Grades, and this was all about how to teach reading and then how to determine like the grade level of the different books that we have. It was definitely building on classes that we had already had about teaching reading and writing and literacy, but it was just really focused on specifically on reading. We created like a huge book list and figured out how to connect these books to other resources and how to like find culturally inclusive books. It was a really great class where I was introduced to a lot of children's books that are just on my list to get for my classroom library eventually. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I have started a classroom library. I do have quite a few boxes full of books. Most of them were given to me by my mom or by other family members, or I would buy them at DI or get them through school. And so they've been wonderful to have. But obviously I want to add to them a lot. And then this class also taught us how to assess reading in different grade levels, in informal assessments and formal assessments, of how to assess reading and how to determine what level your students are at and how you can support them in their reading ability. The next class that I'm going to talk about was called Cultural Linguistic Responsiveness. This class, we focused a lot on like really identifying our own personal culture and like talking about whether our culture had been represented in our schooling and what kind of experiences we had in school that had an effect on our culture now as adults and as our culture when we were children. And we just talked a lot about how, like, you know, not everybody fits into stereotypes for their culture, and how to teach in a way that you're not teaching these stereotypes, but you're teaching in an inclusive and accepting and respectful way. The big presentation we had for that class was we had to create like a presentation all about our culture. So like talking about family and friends and religion and basically anything that we felt like had ever had an impact on who we are and on our individual culture. And like we talked about people who had come into our lives who changed that and changed our view on culture. It was a really cool class. We talked about how to build a classroom culture and community, how to respond professionally to students who come from cultures who are different than ours, and how to educate ourselves on their cultures in a respectful way, and just like how to identify, again, culturally inclusive books and respectful books. And we also created a book list in that class that like specifically had to be connected to cultures other than our own, or books that had affected us and expanded our view on our own culture. The fourth class that we took was called Differentiation for Inclusion. We learned how to differentiate lesson plans and activities. We learned, you know, what it really means to differentiate and what it means to be inclusive, and how we can do that as educators of all grade levels. You know, we talked about the simple things you can do starting as young as even preschool to make sure that all students feel included and that their differences are celebrated, and but not in like a way that like kind of puts a spotlight on them being like, oh, you're different, you know, but like in a way that just every child walks into our classroom and they know like, oh, I am respected here, I am loved, I am accepted, I belong here. We talked about how to create differentiated lesson plans, and we practiced differentiated instruction by like teaching lessons within our college classroom. When I did level 1, it was the semester that just like, it was the beginning of 2020, and so, you know, COVID kind of took over and we went virtual. So a lot of these classes, I do feel like, you know, we would have had some more hands-on experience had we been able to be in person. And so I do feel like I missed out on that a little bit, but my teachers were really great about trying to provide us with videos and other different types of technology that allowed us to still have those experiences, even though we were all at our own homes and just attending class over Zoom. And so, I mean, and a lot of our assignments were dropped because our teachers were not prepared to be able to just switch everything over. And so it was just kind of like, you know, COVID happened and they had to do the best that they could. So, anyways. And then the last class that we had that semester, so this is the 5th class, so I had 5 classes that semester, was called Planning for Young Children. And we learned how to create lesson plans that touched on every stage of development and every area. So like if you look in a preschool classroom, you have, you know, the dramatic play and the whole group area and the blocks and the library and fine motor and sensory. And so we learned how to plan a lesson plan that could touch on all of those areas, and then how to kind of have like a classroom theme, learn how to implement learning through play, and how to make sure that the students aren't just playing, but that they're actually learning things that are benefit their development and their knowledge, and just like set them up and prepare them for their higher level education. We talked a lot about like developmental theorists and how they affected the way that we teach, especially in early childhood, like preschool and kindergarten classrooms now. And we conducted observations. Like I said, this was through COVID, so a lot of our observations were just videos of the preschool lab that we have on campus, old and current videos, and we were like assigned specific children in those videos to watch. We had to observe their behavior and their development throughout the semester over time, and talk about like how, if we were in that classroom, how we would try to support them in the areas that maybe they needed to work on, and how we would continue to encourage them in those areas that were strengths for them. Yeah, so we learned how to recognize development and milestones in specific students, and the students we observed were ages like 0 to 5 years old. The college that I go to school at has a 0 to 1 year old classroom, a 1 to 2 year old classroom, 2 to 3, 3 to 5, and then a kindergarten classroom. And they all have observation booths, so education students and parents can go in the booths and observe and watch the interactions between the teachers and the students. And eventually you stop observing and you actually become one of the teachers in those preschools, but that was not in level 1. I did that in the following levels. So those are all the classes I took for level 1. I really noticed starting in level 1 that like every single class really kind of blended together. At least at my college and in my program, the professors do a really great job of like collaborating. And you know, if they're going to assign assignments that are similar, they'll let us know like, hey, these 2 assignments are going to go hand in hand, so do them at the same time and turn them in. Or, you know, you can do this assignment for this class, but it will also count as an assignment for this other class, because they really want us to be able to start integrating all of the different curriculums and all the different developmental like skills and teaching strategies and all of those things, and putting them all into one so that we can implement them in our lesson plans that we're teaching. So level 1 was honestly at first like really overwhelming, but now that I've gone from level 1, I'm currently in level 3. So I've had level 1 the semester between level 1 and level 2, and now level 3. And I'm just thinking like, level 1 really has prepared me to continue to progress, because the work just piles on and it's just more and more. And with each level, you know, there's more responsibility on me. I'm like gradually leaving the student role and entering the role of a teacher. And so this level 3 that I'm in right now is the final semester before I do my student teaching internship. So it's, you know, really getting down to like just the final last bits of like making sure that me and my colleagues are prepared to teach our own lesson plans and take over an entire classroom and really be that lead teacher role all the time, and ensure that our students are going to get an education that is going to really benefit them. So please, if you have any questions about anything I said, if you didn't understand something I said, or like if this video just made absolutely no sense, because you know, I'm really new to being on YouTube and I'm really new to trying to share advice. So please, if you have any questions about level 1, about any of the classes that I talked about, if you know you have been in classes like this and you also want to share some of the experiences you had, please comment down below. I would love for conversation to continue to happen, and just hear what you guys think and what questions you guys have. And if I have a lot of questions, maybe I'll just add another video, but if not, my next video that I'll be posting after this will be an overview of the level between, or the semester between level 1 and level 2. And that'll be all for today's video. I appreciate if you're still here. I appreciate you getting all the way to the end of this video. I'm really grateful that I have people who are interested in what I have to say. And you know, even if I only help to answer one person's questions, then I am doing what I set out to do when I started this YouTube channel. So I Hope you all enjoyed this video. Please hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed, and give my video a thumbs up. And I hope you guys all have a great day or evening, whatever time it is that you're watching this video. Goodbye.